very simple stuff I'm going to talk about here. And just keep in mind that we are talking about this from the perspective of our core content. Washing machines that Steve mentioned earlier, one of the biggest products on our site, makes us a lot of money every year, brings in a ton of traffic. Does not relate to our mission critical thing. If you know we're a nonprofit organization, I'll talk about CR first. We've got nearly 8 million subscribers, so we do not take any advertising. So just keep that in mind too. So we are relying heavily on search, as you'll see on the next screen, to do that. We are trying to offer consumers smarter choices for a better world, whether they're looking for a dishwasher or a car for their teenager, car safety, car seats. Those are things that are very important to us as a mission organization. We take no advertising. So again, we buy literally everything, every laptop that you guys have when we go out and we test them, every smartphone, everything from toasters to Tesla, we go out and buy it at consumers. One of the benefits of working there is also that we get to buy this stuff at a discount when it comes up for sale. Again, we are a consumer-driven organization working to create a fairer, safer place. We just went through rebranding thanks to Mike and the team at BrightEdge. I had the wrong logo on various materials here. I would have my head handed to me. That's our new logo. We moved away from the red blob that a lot of people know. You can learn more about it at consumerreports.org/changes. I'm the managing editor. I'm an SEO evangelist for the organization. I work very closely with a variety of content teams, home and appliances, cars, electronics, money and health, but I also work with our testing team, with our marketing team, with our product managers, every day working on new tools. We had a big issue today where pages were cached for 5 days. I just found out before the meeting, before the presentation today. That had me a little freaked out. And I'm really involved in implementing an SEO strategy. We work very closely with the BrightEdge people to try to make our teams much more sophisticated. Again, we're an old print company. We've been around for 80 years. We've got a really successful website, but a lot of our content managers, as we call them, they are print people, and it's been a bit of a tough road to get them to think about digital content. Some information on Consumer Reports. I'm talking about articles here specifically, not our evergreen pages, our buying guides, things like that. About 3,000 articles published each year. We get a huge amount of our traffic from search. It's very important to us. We're growing social, we're doing other things, but we have to rely a lot on SEO for that. We have a big SEM spend as well, but we don't have the money to spend to compete against some of the bigger brands out there. Over 11 million unique visitors each month. Page views, 53.5 million on average. It's gone down as a result of mobile. That's something that we have to really think about. But our people do spend a hell of a lot of time on our site. 8 minutes is good. People who are looking at car pages might spend even more. It's obviously more of a sweaty palms purchase. The theme of what I'm talking about today, some of you might know the movie, 80s movie, Field of Dreams. The mindset of a lot of publishers used to be, if you build it, they will come, and that just does not work anymore. It's perhaps kind of a cliche to a lot of you, but that's been the approach that a lot of magazines have taken, and even though the website's been around for all these years, it's not always easy to convince people that they have to do things differently. So again, some of our realities, we share editorial staff with the magazine, with our print side of things. Our editorial calendar, Steve was talking about that, and it's a real interesting way to think the approach that you were talking about and putting the calendar second. But it had traditionally been tied to the magazine's need, and that's a real problem for us. We have a lot of very important products that are seasonal, lawnmowers, air conditioners at this time of year, space heaters, and I'm going to talk about a highly seasonal product, and those are big revenue generators for us, and we can't allow the magazine to determine what we do and when we do it online. Again, planning was happening often way too late for the needs of the website and the digital audience, and the content wasn't aligned around what people wanted. So if you're talking to your leadership team and you want to try to change things, for us, if I want to move my testing calendar up for a particular product, I better, as sure as hell, tell them what it's all about. What you're seeing here is Google Trends for sunscreens. So this is a product that traditionally would have come out in the July issue of the magazine, and that's a little bit too late. It's going to hit newsstands and people's homes in late May, early June. If you look at Google Trends, we want to be in there starting in mid-April, early May at the very latest, so that we can be in people's minds, be front of mind for people when people are looking for that information. So it's been really changing for us, that approach. So we chose to focus on sunscreens, as I mentioned. Going back a couple of years, we modified our testing program to inform consumers at the right time. We want to get the biggest possible share of voice. And to be perfectly honest, somebody mentioned it earlier today, we want to own the sunscreens moment in early spring or mid-spring. We want to beat the Environmental Working Group. They've got a fantastic guide to sunscreens, but it doesn't do us any good if they're going to be out there beating us to the punch. So, we test probably 60 sunscreens. We probably have 68 sunscreens on our site. We might test 30 or 40 new products each year. Timing is an issue for us because the products don't come out until in December, and they might be available only in Florida. So we had to really dramatically change our testing cycle, and we got buy-in from everybody. So for us, from an SEO perspective, and I think the takeaway for a lot of you, it's, as everyone's been saying, identify the best content opportunities. Again, creating a long-term content plan, and we want to try to get our content creators to think about the keyword that we're targeting for that particular article in advance. So we use BrightEdge Data Cube. I'm really looking forward to Data Mind and the other experiences that we're gonna, that we've heard about from BrightEdge today. Google AdWords and lots of other tools to create lots of new content. And also, everyone talks about, I don't like to call it old content, I like to refer to it as existing content, and to make sure that we're maximizing the impact of that, as you saw David and Steve talk about. And really interesting right now, we've rolled out Data Cube to more than 50 content managers, which is a substantial thing. We have somewhere between 75 and 100 people who might be creating content for us. So we've gone through training. That's one of the things that I'm particularly involved in, and getting them to think about it. And for us, it's intent. What are we trying to get at? So when you're talking about sunscreens, it's not just what's the best sunscreen or sunscreen reviews. We've got those pages. If you do a search on that, hopefully our content's going to come up high. But there's lots and lots of opportunity out there that we can, funnel people into us. Again, we're a subscription site, so this has to be lead generation for us. And at the end, it's creating this, what I like to call a 21st century field of dreams. If they want it, we will build it, or at least we'll consider building it if the resources allow, and then the goal will hopefully be that more of them will come. It's real important for us to think that way. Of course, we do a lot of on-page optimization using BrightEdge Content Optimizer. We're using AEM CQ, as it used to be known, for content creation. Using Content Optimizer, we've been able to take the amount of well-optimized pages from about 25% to over 90%. We've kind of plateaued at that. We're going to try to put some more restrictions on our pages to require editors. They won't be able to move something along in workflow. Again, we're a publishing company, so you have to think about the kinds of people who are touching content, author, editor, things like that. Here you can see this article at 100% score. If you don't use Content Optimizer and your CMS can handle it, can take it, I absolutely recommend using it as a final flight check. It's not the way you go about building pages. You got to think about that way up front. Scaling content over the last 3 years, we've published 40 different articles on sunscreens. We regularly update a very high-ranking buying guide, very important page for us. We don't want to forget video. We've got a really excellent video department. We've created a lot of different videos, and they can get at different themes that we might, in a much easier way than we might have to do it in print or online. And again, we've tested close to 100 different sunscreens, and thinking about consumer intent and looking at what people are looking for, we decided to test SPF close. It wasn't a comprehensive test as we might do for sunscreens, but there are a lot of people out there who are looking for that information, so we were able to test it and give them some information. Everyone talks about social. Our social team is growing. It is a more substantial part of our traffic, and our sunscreen referrals have gone up 70% year over year. So for us, the next thing for us to do is to roll this out for washing machines, for any other number of categories that are important to us, to be able to scale it that way as well. At the end of the day, we all want to know, how did this do? How did it perform? It was a huge earned media success for us. Our communications team used to tell us, Nobody cares about sunscreens until Memorial Day, and then they don't care about it until July 4th. Well, we had a great story to tell this year. As you can see, many sunscreens in our tests fell short of their SPF claims. You're all out there spending a lot of money on sunscreen. It's not a cheap product, and if you pay for an SPF 50 and it's really only an SPF 25, you're not getting as much protection. So we had a great story to tell, but we also had all the other content to support it. And again, to get on Good Morning America, CBS's morning show, the Today Show, in one day does not happen very much for anybody. I don't care who you are, and we had that in mid-May this year. So, again, a very, very important deal. We had tons of other coverage. WebMD, who is a direct competitor when it comes to, skincare and health and everything, they picked up our content. Some key metrics, and this is what it all kind of boils down to. Year over year, and we were able to quantify all of this, and leadership loves it. And again, you have to be able to I think David mentioned, you got to let people know, people up the food chain, what's going on. If you're going to try to move testing for sunscreens up a couple of months and you're going to accelerate everything, and which kind of blew people's minds years ago, we were not allowed to get out in front of the magazine. 10 years ago when I started at Consumer Reports. Now, we don't worry about that, but it took some convincing, and we're not going to cannibalize our audiences. That's a major concern of ours. So huge success, 71% up in visits to the sunscreens category, 98% participated orders. Again, revenue, that's where our money comes from by and large. Year over year over year, you can see the numbers, fantastic stuff, and everyone really loves this. And the biggest growth on our site right now is because of the optimization work that I'm pretty convinced that it is anyway. That's where we're seeing the most growth, plus 43% in visits 14 to 15, and up 24% in 15 to 16 year to date. So again, these are substantial numbers, and it's really important. At the end of the day, I think for you guys, for any traditional, if you work at a publishing company or no matter what you're trying to market, challenge the system. Be data-driven, plan earlier, plan much earlier. It was really important for us to be able to do that. Use that existing content. We are not satisfied with where a lot of our content ranks for sunscreens. We're going to work with BrightEdge and others to improve rank on that and take advantage of that existing content. Make sure to cross-link. I was blown away by what I saw this morning, that you could dynamically render links in a page. When I spoke to Lemuel at lunch this afternoon. If we can do that, that will simplify everything tremendously. And a bit of a little cliche here, look for more low-hanging fruit. There is so much content opportunity for all of you out there, no matter what you're covering. Use the tools, use DataCube or whatever else you've got, but there is tremendous opportunity for you to find the right content and deliver it to your audiences at the right time. And that's all I've got.